SDGs 7 and 13.
To significantly augment harnessing of solar in order to promote energy security and it is heartening to note that ISA has started giving.
Thank you, Excellency, the Minister for Environment, Forest and Climate Change, Government of India. Your Excellency, the Minister for Energy, the Kingdom of Tonga, I understand is not present, but anyway. The Excellency, the Secretary for New and Renewable Energy, the Government of India. Your Excellency, the Director for Sustainable Development, Ministry of European and International Affairs in France. Your Excellency, Director General of the International Solar Alliance. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon and Bula Vinaka. Your Excellencies, I'd like to begin by thanking the governments of India and France for helping champion the uptake of solar power. Given the catastrophe-inducing levels of current global emissions, the two nations' leadership in transforming the way our world consumes energy is more critical than ever. The International Solar Alliance, as we all know, was launched in COP21 alongside the Paris Agreement. But that agreement, while a historic achievement, was not a solution in itself. It was merely a stepping off point for the decisive action needed to address the present and potential devastation of the climate emergency. 4 years of negotiations and countless interventions later, I am sad to say the race towards the net zero emissions has barely begun. The level of carbon emissions in our atmosphere is breaking records by the day. In the face of that reality, the world's leading emitters have yet to make commitments anywhere close enough to cap emissions at responsible levels. The stake of ambitious actions have not changed. In fact, the science has become more certain. The 1.5 degree target is the only target that ensures the survival of many peoples across the globe. By next year, nations must increase their overall ambition to slash emissions by 45% by 2030. Until those commitments materialize, ladies and gentlemen, Your Excellencies, a dark cloud hangs over global progress. But falling costs and rising efficiency of solar energy over the past decade offer bright rays of hope in this campaign. We're at the point where you don't need me to stand here and make an ethical case for wind or solar. The market case makes itself. It's not only environmental champions leading the renewable transition, it's power companies who see the profit-making potential in these technologies. Declining costs of new solar generations have made solar cheaper than new coal or natural gas plants in many parts of the world. Crucially, battery technology is entering a renaissance with costs in a rapid decline, but still far too many economies are proving that they are unable to kick their fossil fuel addiction, most especially to coal. I know that coal production has long served as an important pillar for many economies, providing reliable electricity and valuable jobs. But there is no place for coal in carbon-neutral economies. Whether you're buying coal, selling it, or financing coal plants at home or beyond your borders, you are part of the problem and need to fast-track your transition towards energy sources that do not recklessly spew carbon into our atmosphere. No government can gamble with a generation's future and expect no consequences. The voices demanding greater climate ambition, particularly the voices of the young, are growing louder and angrier by the year. The millions of people taking to the streets in Madrid and across the world are making it clear that when it comes to net zero transition, leaders who fail to summon the political will to act will suffer the political cost. People want to transit away from fossil fuels to renewables, such as solar, solely because it advances the climate action agenda. They are demanding this transition because of the measurable gains it clearly brings for their well-being. People want to live healthier lives. They want to breathe cleaner air. They want to drink cleaner water. They want to preserve the forests and hillsides that surround their homes. They want to see the power come from the sun and other renewable sources. They want jobs in industries catered for the future, in economies that are resilient, competitive, and considerate of future generations. The International Solar Alliance was formed to facilitate this transition and to equip all member governments with the resources and knowledge they need to meet the demands of the people. In Fiji, ladies and gentlemen, Your Excellencies, we have started this transition so that we can build a clean and sustainable economy that serves the short and long-term interests of every Fijian. We're proud to be a founding ISA member and one of the first 15 countries to ratify the ISA Framework Agreement. We have committed to reducing our carbon emissions by 30% by 2030 and achieving net zero emissions by 2050. Our National Development Plan lays out a strategic pathway towards generating 100% of our energy from renewable sources by 2036. We are investing in projects on the ground and charting our path to a net zero economy. We are overcoming the challenges of geography by installing solar panels in rural and maritime communities, avoiding, of course, the massive costs of expanding our national grid across all of our 128 populated islands and cultivating climate resilience in these communities. Through a landmark partnership with UN Women and the Barefoot College in India, we are training Fijian women from rural communities to become solar engineers so they can take up careers maintaining solar units back in Fiji. In partnership with the Indian government, we're building a regional Barefoot College in Fiji, equipping our people with in-demand skills suited to a modern economy powered by clean energy. Ladies and gentlemen, we know that the sun doesn't always shine and the winds don't always blow, but the rapid evolution of these technologies make it increasingly realistic that a responsible mix of renewables can soon power economies of any size, anywhere in the world, all year round. We know changes of this magnitude won't take place overnight, but we do expect nations to commit to the investment and policy changes required to accelerate this transition. And given the incredible progress these technologies have made in a short span of time, continuing innovation in this sector will make the transition more feasible to make and less excusable to ignore. I applaud the 78 countries who have joined Fiji in signing the ISA framework. As part of your commitment to the uptake of solar energy, I hope to see financing mechanisms become available to specific small island developing states to accelerate our collective shift towards solar power. Solar represents one of the most exciting frontiers for the advancement of carbon neutral emissions. But let's not forget, power generation is only one piece of emissions puzzle. Without serious emission cuts in transportation, manufacturing, agriculture, and other economic sectors, our collective nationally determined contribution will remain utterly inadequate. We need to do more than harness the sun to power our cities and communities. We must step into the vast untapped potential of solar power to revolutionize the cars we drive, the vessels that sail our waters, and the entire manner in which our societies create and consume energy. Fiji is prepared to continue to do our part in this transition from the rest of the world to show the courage to make the changes needed to secure a future where no nation's development comes at the expense of another's survival. Thank you. God bless you.